Welcome back to a brand new episode of TVGP's Game Club. This month we are talking about the Stanley Parable plus Ultra Deluxe. I am your host, Boston, and I've played this on the PlayStation 5, joined as always by Moonpeer.
Hello, Xbox Series X. This game is all games.
And Musim.
I played this with the PlayStation 5 controller on my TV through a Steam Deck, so I feel pretty good.
Okay, there you go. Alright, let's get into deets about the game. Originally released July 31st, 2011 as a Half-Life 2 mod. Released October 17th, 2013 as a standalone Source Engine title. Released April 27th, 2022, the Ultra Deluxe released. That was when it was, as we'll get into later, ported to consoles, but also released on PC. And October 7th, 2024, a iOS release of Ultra Deluxe. Published and developed by Galactic Cafe. Also originally developed by Crows, whose logo you will see at the beginning of the game. Released on Big and Hale, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, PC, OS X, Linux, and iOS. And I'm probably missing, maybe there was an Ouya in there somewhere, but like somebody released a, Stadia or something. Only development note I have here is narrated by Kevin Brightning. Wanted to mention that because that's the only character in this game. We usually try to summarize this game before we come in here. I actually really like the original developer / publisher summary of this game. So I'm going to read here. The Stanley Parable is a first-person exploration game which ponders questions related to player agency, narrative pacing, escapism through gaming, objective-driven game design, authorial intent, and the conflict of interest between players and game creators. Yep. And like Moon said, it is all games at the same time. Let's do some time travel here. Metacritic and OpenCritic are at a 90. Peers for the release date of November 2013, because I thought that seemed a little bit more fun than 2022. We got a huge list here because apparently November was completely stacked. Grand Theft Auto Online came out on the PS3 and 360. If you want to remember how excruciatingly long that game has been around. Yeah. Marvel Puzzle Quest came out on iOS. Listen to years past of TVGP for how much a problem that game was for a very long time. Beyond Two Souls came out on PS3. Disgaea D2, A Brighter Darkness, came out on PC. Game I haven't thought of since probably 2013. The Wolf Among Us Episode 1 Faith came out on PC, XBLA, and PSN.
Man.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past. Second one's coming out any day now.
I was gonna say, speaking of games with the number 2 on the back end of it.
Yeah. Pokemon X and Y came out on 3DS. Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut came out on a whole bunch of platforms, including the Wii U. Lego Marvel Superheroes, a personal favorite of both Moon and I. Path of Exile, talking about a sequel here to a massively popular game. Batman Arkham Origins, Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate HD, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. That is scary to think about how old that game is.
Man.
Call of Duty Ghosts, and then Moon's favorite game full of liars that lie, Risk of Rain, rounding out the end of that list.
The liars of Risk of Rain.
That's right.
Also, if you buy the Risk of Rain's composers, like whatever his package deal is on Bandcamp, like he adds stuff to that off and on throughout the years.
Oh, that's great.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, the soundtracks are so good. Oh, man. What is also so good here is a question we ask every month. Is this game top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked? I think we can all probably answer all at the same time. Top of the pile.
Top of the pile, yeah.
Yeah, I think for reasons we'll get into here in a minute, it was on the lips of everybody for the last 12 years, and probably will be for a while. Before we get into the game itself, let's talk about our next game here. Lost Records Bloom Rage Tape 2 is out now, so we will finish up the back half of that game for next month's Game Club.
Yep.
So catch up on the previous episode, catch up on the game, and we'll catch up with you next month if you haven't played this game and don't want to get spoiled, because this is the spoiler zone. We're going to start talking about everything beyond this point is probably a spoiler for this game. If you have an hour and a half, you should just go play this game and then come back, and we'll still be here.
This is the story of a podcast.
That's right.
Spoilers.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. All of his coworkers were gone. What could it mean? Man, I gotta be honest. I don't know how the hell to talk about Stanley Parable. From like any sort of. I do want to say, Musim has been.
Preaching the virtues.
Yeah, sort of on the campaign trail for a couple of months here, saying like, "Hey, we should play Stanley Parable. I really enjoyed it. It's a
Years, months, whatever, tomato.
It's I am glad that you had campaigned so hard for it, because I am very happy I have played the Stanley Parable for a lot of reasons. I just have also been struggling with how do you approach covering. It's very much like I almost want to say like it's the most inventive shooter I've played this year, but like
The most innovative shooter. Thank you.
Thank you. The most innovative shooter I've played this year. Of just like how do I start like interfacing with the Stanley Parable at all?
So did you guys play the Ultra Deluxe version?
I did.
Yes.
Okay. And this was both of your first times playing it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you start so when it started the game for me and it asked me if I played before, I said yes. And I got access to the new content fairly quickly.
Yeah.
How long did it take for the new content for you guys to show up?
It takes about 3 or 4 endings before you can get to the new content.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also ran into a very funny instance with this game starting it up. I started it up and got to the kind of main menu there before you start the game. And the very first, there's 2 things you do at the beginning of the game. One is you set the time, and then the other one is it asks you if you played Stanley Parable before. So I set the time, I said no, and I got to the main menu, and I realized I didn't have any sound coming through my sound bar. I had to resolve that and had to close the game. I came back to the game, and it asked me to set the time again. And when I did, it said, "Hey, I just want to take a second to say thank you. You actually set a time." Most people just say yeah, it's 12 a.m. Who cares? Whatever. And it says, "I appreciate you setting
took
the
the
time
to set the time.
I don't even have a way to verify that that's the time. You could just put something in. So as a treat, next time, just put whatever you want in there." And I was like, oh, okay. Stanley Parable's coming at me with some fun stuff here at the beginning. Before I've even started the game, I think I'm seeing what I'm getting into.
Yeah, I did have the set the clock twice correctly note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you guys do it the 3rd or 4th time where it's like, here's just a bunch of menu settings you can do?
Mm-hmm.
No,
just for fun.
I do not have that one yet.
Yeah, honestly, that stuff happened often enough that I was tempted just to constantly start and restart it just to get whatever extras were in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be honest, I'm not the new content is obviously the new content in the game, but I feel like they added a whole lot of stuff to the old content, and I don't think there's any way that I actually saw everything in the Ultra Deluxe, and I have forgotten a massive amount from the original game because I don't remember the Firewatch part by any means.
I was going to ask, did anybody else get the Firewatch section? Because that was gold.
I did not, but I got what I think is probably one of the most harrowing endings as my first one, where you you get the like laser light show, and the narrator is begging you to just go back into the room and be happy, but you have to keep climbing these like 5 flights of stairs and throwing yourself off the edge like 4 times to kill yourself. And he's like getting increasingly desperately sad as you do it. And then like with one final crunch, the game starts back over. And I was like, oh, okay, this is sure. And that was followed very quickly by what I think is one of my personal favorite endings, the freedom ending, where you turn off the mind control machine and you kind of escape to the outside. And I was just like, dang, okay. You're just doing all this. Stanley Parable, sure. Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the bucket mod on everything.
Okay, so wait. I want to talk about Ultra Deluxe here in a second, because Ultra Deluxe is probably the... I love the base version of Stanley Parable. I think it is, and I'm not treading new ground here by any form, but I love continually trying to break the game and subvert the game, and the game just being like, nope, already planned for that. Here you go, here's another ending. But like, one of the weirdest endings is when you and the narrator go on an adventure, and the game, he keeps restarting the game, and the game keeps breaking more and more. Like when you go to the where the 2 rooms to go to your boss's office, like that first big decision, there's 8 doors. You go on, he resets it, and you go in, and he's like, all right, and now we're nope, I broke it, it's worse now. And there's no doors at all. And then you go with like the adventure, the Stanley Parable adventure line ending, like that leads you to a room with the predetermined list of things that happen during this ending. Like, there's just so much in it that's so... It would be easy for this game to be combative to you as the player. Of like, no, I have... These are all endings that I have authored. Like, you aren't... You're breaking the game in the way that I have written you to be able to break it. And... There's still, as the game continually shows you new and stranger endings, it gets funnier and funnier the way the game continues to break itself in ways that I really, really loved. And then you crack open Ultra Deluxe. And Ultra Deluxe's intro is the terrible little cart ride as like the animatronics inject more game into the game. And then you get to the new content, which is the jump circle, where you get to jump until the jump runs out, and then that was it, and the narrator goes bananas. And one of my favorite voiced lines from this game is actually at the beginning of Ultra Deluxe, where he restarts the game and you go back to the beginning. You go back, you like start making your way, and he goes, "Psst, Stanley," from a vent.
Yes, I want to show you something.
Yeah, I want to show you. If you walk away, he goes, "Nah, it's fine. You're a dork anyway." And, and then you walk back, and he goes, oh, "You aren't a dork. You came back." And like, he shows you the like dark underbelly of pressurized valve reviews and
pressurized gas. Thank you very much.
Gas, thank you. And like James Stephanie Sterling's Destructoid review.
I wanted to call this out because number one, fantastic to literally just post the entire review.
Yep.
I looked.
Yep.
It's the actual entirety of the review.
Yep.
And double marks for using Stephanie's given name when the game was released rather than when the review was published.
Exactly. And also like the way that the narrators like impersonation of their accent, because Stephanie has like a very distinct accent, And the narrator not like making fun of their accent, but kind of like poking fun a little bit. And I was like, okay, like it's a real like Cockney accent that the narrator puts on. I was like, all right, that's pretty good. And the dawning realization that beyond these two reviewers that loved the game,
Yes, Destructoid and GameSpot.
yes,
And then after that, it's all of the pressurized gas reviews, and it's just shipping containers.
yeah, it's really good, and it leads to another ending that I really like, the skip button ending. I don't know if you guys got that one too.
Yup.
One of my favorite things of just like the decay of the narrator's sanity, but also the decay of the world around of Stanley as they're skipping dozens, if not hundreds, of years, and having the last button push in the kind of ruined thing was just like, dang, okay. Stanley Parable's got some. And then it immediately goes into the new content door, just has a bright neon sign that says
light.
new content. And then that's where we get introduced to Stanley Parable 2, which turns out they actually just went and made the Stanley Parable 2. Because once you pick up the bucket and you start replaying Stanley Parable 1 with the bucket, they just made a new game.
But there's very frog fractions, we'll say.
Yes, it's very like frog fractions of just like, wasn't this? Look, this button says Jim. Your name is Jim. Just like bask in it. Also, we just redid our entire game all over again, and the original game is there, and there's like hundreds more lines of voice acting, and here's a bunch more endings if you take the bucket with you. And I'm just like, what's happening here? What's going on here?
Every time you pick up the bucket, he says something new. It seems like I've not heard something repeated. It is so glorious.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's any way I've seen everything in it.
No,
you know?
I think it's
like,
almost impossible. Yeah,
I'm floored with how much new content. Like, I don't. Did you guys get all the figurines?
No, so part of my frustration with Ultra Deluxe is the Stanley Parable 2 kind of like walk around museum area that the narrator opens is hostile in a way that I get, because it very much is a response to the Stanley Parable. And if I was the basically two people that made the Stanley Parable, and that level of misunderstanding was leveraged towards me, I would probably make the same thing of just like, okay, this is what you wanted, huh? Okay, here you go. Here's a free achievement. Let's do it. You can just jump now. Yay! It's a video game finally. And my patience for that area wore pretty thin, which again I think is the intent. But I think Ultra Deluxe landed a little bit differently for me, because this isn't me coming back to Stanley Parable. It's me coming to it for the first time. So I feel like so much of this stuff in the Ultra Deluxe, like this stuff is really funny, but I don't think it hits as hard because I haven't seen what I thought was enough of the base Stanley Parable stuff. And I think that it's tough because, again, that's part of what Stanley Parable is about. But I feel like I hadn't really gotten my enjoyment out of the game the base game yet before going on to this kind of additional stuff. And there's, for anyone that hasn't played, you can just play this regular Stanley Parable stuff. Like, you don't have to pick up the bucket every time. You can just continue to play the game, but I felt like I was kind of out of order at that point. Like, I hadn't gotten enough of the weird endings, like the one where Stanley freaks out in the basement next to the car, and he has a wild thought that maybe he doesn't really exist, and maybe not all of this really exists, and then he dies on the outside, and there's a woman that's running late for a big meeting at work that runs across him and calls the cops, and the like, as soon as that goes to black, one of my favorite parts of it is the game. Every time something weird happens, the game goes to black, and it goes, all of his coworkers were gone. What could it mean? I was like, oh my, this is so good. Like, this is so good for you to just be like, don't worry about that. We're back at the beginning. We're redoing it.
Yeah, you really should see most, if not all, of that original game. Like, because I can't, like, imagine if you got that ending with the bucket for the first time. Like, did you do that ending with the bucket? Maybe I should ask that first.
Well, all of the endings in the game have different endings with the bucket.
Right.
So,
well, on that one, the woman has her own bucket, which
that's
endlessly,
really
like,
that's really
like when
good.
he's freaking out in the basement, like you have the bucket at first, and then at one point the narrator's like, and then Stanley realizes this isn't his bucket. It's a fake bucket. So then you lose the bucket, and then buckets start appearing as you're going through the repeating rooms, and then it does the same ending, but the woman comes out, and it's not like they've edited the woman's figure well to have the bucket. They just kind of pasted the bucket
right
where her arms are around. It added some new dialogue.
There are some
cool.
endings I'd like to see like that. Like, one of the endings I thought was really, there are some endings that are pretty ridiculous. But I think some of the ones that start ridiculous and kind of end up being the most impactful, like the ones where you return home to your apartment with your wife, and the narrator just opens the door and there's just a mannequin there, and he starts laughing because he tricked you. But like,
yeah, that's a dark one.
Yeah, like that. I like when the endings get dark like that. Like, some of them are weird. Like, you just throw yourself off of the cargo lift and you just die, and they're like, yeah, that was pretty dumb. Anyways, start the game back over. Like, it's like a 30-second one. There's an exceptionally strange one where you almost get crushed in like a moving kind of thing between two plates, almost Portal style, and it stops, and a totally different narrator comes in. This woman starts talking about like the continually tied nature of Stanley and the narrator, that they're trapped in this purgatory together.
And then you get taken to the credits museum,
which is the credits museum is so good. Like, it's so great, and then when you leave the credits museum, you just get crushed. Just like, okay.
And it literally, I'm pretty sure it's probably recorded individually per platform. But it's like, the only way to win is to turn off the Xbox.
Yeah,
do it.
Mine said PlayStation
right now,
because like,
turn it off.
Some of the funniest stuff is when the narrator is ranting towards Stanley about like, the Stanley Parable was so great. Why did we have to water it down with these cheap PlayStation ports and put in all these trophies? This one doesn't even work. It just says test trophy, please ignore. Like, what? This didn't even have a QA pass. Like, there's so much. Like, I really love the idea of even this game insulting itself for being like so far from its original sort of plans and designs as a Half-Life 2 mod, in a way that I think is really pretty wonderful.
So I want to circle back to two things you said. The first one, the showroom for Stanley Parable 2, I agree with you on that. I was not, like, it was kind of cute a little bit, but it was overly large, and tended to get lost in it, and the first time I was in it, I couldn't figure out where to go, so I quit. And then I eventually went back, and I have to go up these stairs, and then it launches all the extra content of the game.
Yeah.
The second thing, the figurines. So, I did all of that today, not really knowing what would happen, because the game very much emphasizes that there will be no reward for getting all the figurines.
Of course.
That the reward is just doing it in yourself.
You and the bucket already got your stickers, so like,
yeah,
you're not going to get another reward.
After you get it all, when you restart the game, it sends you into this entirely new thing with the narrator reminiscing about how great it was finding all of these figurines, and it just goes off on this wild tangent that I won't spoil, but it is worth doing. You get 5 of the 6 figurines with the bucket, and the last one you have to go to the red and blue doors without the bucket.
Okay.
Although you do also want to go to the red and blue doors with the bucket to get the bucket ending, because that is a particularly hilarious one. If you hadn't seen it, where the narrator one starts questioning whether you know what a bucket is.
Oh my god! I watched that ending online of just like the nature of what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket. Him just giving up at the end is like, you know what? Whatever. It's all a bucket. Who cares? Just don't tell anyone else that we have this bucket secret.
And I played through that twice and tried getting the answers correct and tried getting them wrong. You kind of wind up at the same place. With just some minute difference in dialogue. But
I think I would like to play. I'd like to sit down with this game again at some point and try to pull up like a flow chart of all the endings, because there were some that I really wanted to see, like the freedom ending. If you go and you actually turn the mind control machine back on, what is that ending? You know, like if you go do
that ending is hilarious.
Okay.
Let me tell you.
But like due to the nature of how the Stanley Parable works, and this is not a negative whatsoever, but I had this thought of like, okay, I saw that ending, that was incredible, but what's the other version of that ending? I need to make my way back to do that. But on your way back, you're like, oh, there's something new. I'm going to go see that. Or like, oh, I didn't notice this other pathway last time I went. I'm going to do that. And that opens like 4 other endings. And because you did one of those, it opens something else.
That's how I got the Firewatch ending. Because I was like, I wonder if I can do this thing while doing this thing.
Oh, okay.
And I could. It's you get to the Firewatch one by jumping off the moving platform onto the platform below.
Yeah, the like walkway.
And following that one, and it's one of those endings that leads that direction.
So like I think that's a real strength of this game, is just kind of the game continues to unfold in interesting ways as you go through, and you get an ending that unlocks 4 more endings, and that ending unlocks 2 more endings, and by doing that you have 6 more endings. And it's like, I forget the stat that I looked at in the game. I think the base game has 48 endings or something like that. That's without the additional Stanley Parable 2 Ultra Deluxe stuff, which is pretty incredible. But like, so many of those endings are genuinely laugh out loud funny, which is, you know, anyone who talks about games for any amount of time will always say it's really hard to make or write a funny game, and I think they did a really great job here.
I think it's really hard to make or write funny, period.
Yeah and I do want to see a lot more of that stuff. I think I need to pull up a flowchart and be like, okay, I finished that one. Oh, now I have to walk this way, say no to this, say yes to this, go down this hallway. Go down the hallway that says escape, and the narrator says, at the end of this hallway, you'll meet your certain doom, and then just continue to go down that way. But, yeah.
One last ask. Did you guys do the whole?
I do.
No. I did not find the hole. I have seen the hole though because I have seen clips of a streamer playing the hole. So I know what the hole is.
Yeah.
So that's one of the features in the big Stanley 2 convention area.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like that one is worth doing.
Okay. I also didn't find the baby game you're supposed to play for 4 hours straight.
I did. Oh boy, did I find that game. It is so loud and obnoxious.
Perfect. It's so, this game is so hard to talk about because you can either talk about it for 15 minutes or 20 hours. Like, I feel like there's no shortage of stuff to talk about in here, but so much of it, unlike a lot of games, the experience of Stanley Parable is by playing Stanley Parable. Like, it's so intertwined, the actual experience of playing it yourself, and like, it's okay watching someone play it, it's okay, like, those are okay, but I think the ultimate experiences of you making your choices in the sandbox and seeing all the ways that the game has sort of compensated for that and kind of manipulated its own experience for you to discover and kind of play around with. It's a hell of a thing, and something I definitely will think about fondly for a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
I love this game. I'm so happy you guys finally played it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I got to finally play Ultra Deluxe because that'd been weighing on me for a bit.
Mm-hmm. It's an experience for sure. Like, yeah, especially the Ultra Deluxe stuff of like, there's this like one of the skip button endings. You just like wake up, and the narrator is in the middle of a diatribe about like, it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be like a comment about the human condition and choices. Like, so much of that feels kind of like secondhand catharsis for a game that got, I think, bigger than its original dreams, I think.
Did you guys play the demo?
No. Is that different?
Okay. Yes, it is a completely. So they didn't know how to make a demo for the game, so they just made kind of a whole new little Stanley Parable game in it.
Okay.
It's not very long, and it's very entertaining because it has a lot of, like the main game. It has a lot of commentary on demos,
Oh, sure. Yeah, I had actually meant to go back and play the, and I ran out of time to do it. I wanted to go back and play the original Half-Life 2 mod, because I wanted to see kind of the genesis of it, and I sort of ran out of time to do that. But I thought that would be neat, of seeing like, where was the original kind of version of this game, and kind of compare and contrast to the much larger full release, and then the much larger secret Ultra Deluxe release.
Yeah.
So
that's honestly, I'd be curious about that too.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely something I've never done. I played the original game, when it came out for. I almost want to say it was free back then. That might be wrong. Might have been.
Yeah,
like
I don't know. I don't think it was very expensive if it wasn't free.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts here from either of you guys? Any last?
It is. I will probably continue to play it. I can take the Wii roguelike stance here.
That's right. That's right.
Because I'm pretty sure there's still a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, and I've got 10 years to wait to get the next achievement.
That's right. That's right. Got that final achievement. Yeah.
I was in particular wondering how you would cope with the achievement situations.
I'm just gonna do the time skip. I don't care enough about this kind of thing.
10 years is just too long.
Yeah. It is, and the state of the society these days, who knows what's going to be happening in 10 years? Who knows if I'm still going to be able to load the game up in 10 years?
That's right.
For those listening to the audio version, Musum just did the best eye roll, exhale, lean back I've ever seen.
Just like, yeah, man.
Ever.
Big
Yeah.
same.
Like it was very much a woo
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, boy.
expression.
World not so great right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a good
Well,
day
yeah,
to be an American.
try being English and American at the same time. It's so
Yeah.
much harder.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But no, I'll go back to it. I've still got a bunch of achievements. I deliberately didn't look at them when I started playing this
Yeah,
because it's
ditto.
like I know this game has got 5,000 like endings. I know some of them are torturous. I was very glad to see that the console achievements are not the Steam achievements because
Right.
I don't have to play that stupid baby game.
Well, also the
Like,
Steam
You
achievements
don't know
have-
how loud that is, Boston. It was
Yeah.
so loud.
the Steam achievements also famously have an achievement you can't get. It's
Uh-huh.
impossible to get, and the fact that people are still trying to go get that achievement, it's like, no, they're not lying to. Like, you should probably go play the game, and if you play it for 15, 20 minutes, you'll realize, oh no, okay, they're not joking. This is actually they just got put an impossible achievement in there.
It's literally one of the screenshots in the memory section.
Yes, it is. I forgot about that. It's so good. Yeah. All right, that is whatever the Stanley Parable was / is / will forever be. I still don't know, but I do know I like it quite a bit. A reminder again, let me scroll down here so I can get the game's title here correct because I never remember it. Next game is Lost Records Bloom and Rage Tape 2. We'll be finishing the back half of that game. Will we find out what's in the box? Who knows? Hopefully you'll join us next month for that. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Oh, yeah.